And geometry pervades everything. I mean, geometry pervades, I can show you now studies that have shown that the exact architecture of the solar system, if you changed it even a little bit, none of this could happen. Because as it is now, you have this great reservoir of comets outside the orbit of Neptune called the Kuiper disk, right? At the inside of that, on the inner perimeter of that disk of comets, comets are in a quasi-stable condition. In other words, it doesn't take much to perturb them from that position, but at the same time, there isn't much there to perturb them. So they generally are just slowly orbiting the sun. Well, what happens is conjunctions of the great outer planets, Uranus and Neptune primarily, the combined gravitational forces exerted on the inner part of the Kuiper disk are enough to dislodge comets and send them either the gravity effect. Think of this. If you've got a gravity effect pulling on something from behind and it's moving this way, it's going to act as a braking mechanism. If it's ahead and drawing on it, it's going to act as an accelerating mechanism. So if you accelerate one of these objects, it moves out further from the sun. If you decelerate it, it moves in closer to the sun. What happens is that the conjunctions of the outer planets can move these comets inside become within the sphere of influence of the planets. And it just so happens, and astrophysicists have worked out the mathematics of it, that the masses and the spacing of the four great outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, are exactly what they need to be to transport comets from the Kuiper disk to the inner solar system. And if you change that even a little bit, you would lose this. They've referred to it as the bucket mechanism, or like a bucket handoff. Each planet will hand off the comet to the next one. And then when it gets to Jupiter, the big one, like you said earlier, Jupiter is either going to accelerate it and throw it back out, or it's going to decelerate it and send it in towards the sun, where it becomes an Earth crosser, where it begins to disaggregate and in the process fertilize the Earth with its constituents, which we now know are all kinds of interesting and exotic materials. So if it turns out, and it almost certainly will, and in terms of the panspermia idea, that life was originated on Earth by comets, that you had to have an environment that was conducive. You had to have this matrix of environmental conditions that, if were altered slightly, would not allow the proliferation of higher life. You now have the introduction of cometary material into that. Well, if the architecture of the outer solar system was not exactly lined up in the geometry that it is, then you would never have that delivery of the organics and the volatiles from the comet.